Welcome back, Brandon Woodruff, and welcome into Fantasy Baseball today on Monday, July 7th. I am Frank Stampfl, joined by Chris Towers. Today on the show, Brandon Woodruff looked great in his return. Very happy to be wrong about that one. We'll rank a bunch of waiver wire names, starter sit decisions, and much more. Hope everybody enjoyed their July 4th weekend. Chris, how was the birthday? What do we got? Anything good?
Oh, I'm too old for gifts now. I got a hat. Not this hat, but I got a hat. It's a different. I'll wear it at some point. It's a Paddington hat. Not the hat that Paddington wears, but a hat with Paddington on it, to be clear. That was a good birthday. Went out to Long Island for a much-needed pool and barbecuing day. And, yeah, it was nice. How about you?
Oh, it was a very busy weekend. Long Island on Friday, also pool July 4th. That was awesome. But then also drove upstate on Saturday, drove back on Sunday. So it's just been a very long weekend.
Yeah.
Happy to be here. Let's wrap this up. Let's get through this podcast, Chris, because I need to go to sleep. But let's jump in.
Oh my goodness gracious!
All right, Chris, there's only one place to start. I will let
Yeah.
you. Brandon Woodruff, man, he was awesome.
Yeah, we've been very skeptical of Brandon Woodruff, and at least for one start, he made us look very bad because he returned from capsule surgery on his right shoulder for the first time against the Marlins on Sunday and was excellent. 6 innings, 2 hits, 1 run on a home run that wasn't even particularly hard hit. It was like a 100-mile-per-hour home run. He had 8 strikeouts, no walks, 10 whiffs on 70 pitches. That's really good. 4 on the 4-seamer, 4 on the changeup, 1 on the sinker and sweeper. This was his first start in 22 months almost. And I don't know how you could have asked for more. I guess you could have asked for the velocity to be back where it was in 2023. But other than that, I mean, the results, he looked like Brandon Woodruff, right? Like 29% whiff rate on the 4-seamer. That's what you've come to expect from Brandon Woodruff. A ton of weak contact despite throwing his 4-seamer and sinker 60% of the time. That's what you've come to expect from Brandon Woodruff. I didn't think he was going to be able to do this. And to be fair, the reason I didn't think so is because he maxed out with his 4-seamer at the same velocity he used to average in 2023. He averaged 95.8 in 2023, maxed out at 95.6 in this one, averaged 93.2. And I don't know. This is a guy who throws his fastballs, his 4-seamer or his sinker, around 60% of the time. That's about what he did today. And in the past, that was able to work because his 4-seamer was an elite put-away pitch, and both pitches generated a ton of weak contact, and he commanded them excellently, and he did all of those today. If you combine the 4-seamer and the sinker, it was a 50% CSW rate because he had the 4 whiffs with the 4-seamer. He had 11 called strikes with the sinker. New cutter, like a harder 3 mile per hour, harder than his old slider. He has a sweeper now. It wasn't exactly the same version of Brandon Woodruff, and maybe those changes. New sweeper, new cutter, or harder slider, whatever they want to call it. Maybe that will be enough to offset whatever he loses from the fastball. Or maybe he just won't lose that much from the fastball. Like maybe he can still be that effective at 93 as he was at 96. He was for one start at least, and I was pretty much ready for Brandon Woodruff to come out, average 92, 93 with his fastball, struggle. I was ready to come out and say, okay, you stashed him, we got to look, we can drop him now. Now, I don't think there's any way you can, and in other leagues, he's like 90% rostered in CBS Fantasy, so there's nowhere to go, but in Yahoo, I'm sure he's much lower, and I think you should probably go add Brandon Woodruff. I'm not saying he's a must add. I'm not saying he's even the highest priority add right now. But yeah, I think we've got to take this performance seriously.
Yeah, Brandon Woodruff, you mentioned 89% rostered on CBS, 69% on Yahoo. So definitely available in some of those leagues. He gets the Nationals this week, which is typically an okay matchup. They don't strike out very much, but they're, kind of like lower third against right-handed pitching. So with as good as he was here, as efficient as he was, I don't think he's a must start. But if you need a start and you have Brandon Woodruff, I think it's totally fine to use him here. And look, we knew the velocity was going to be down, but on his rehab assignment, it was 91.9 miles per hour with the fastball. 93.2 here today. Still a far cry from where it was years ago, but that's better than the majority of his rehab outings. And I thought it was interesting that he could still kind of like reach back and max out and get that fastball up to 96 miles per hour. And I saw the velocity get that high on a few of his strikeouts too. So like when he needs it, he can kind of, rear back and still get some of that. So awesome return for Brandon Woodruff. If you picked him up, looks like you might have stumbled onto something here. And I think totally fine to use him this week if you want to against the Nationals.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think he's a perfectly fine streamer right now.
Yeah, player of the weekend for me is going to be Trevor Rogers, who I've been kind of skeptical of, not completely buying in, but the more he does it, the more I slowly start to buy in here. And he is doing some interesting things. So against the Braves this weekend, 6 2/3 shutout, 6 strikeouts, had 14 whiffs on 88 pitches, 5 on the fastball, 5 on the sweeper, and he mixed in more sweepers in this one. He used it 15% of the time. It was only 2% entering this start, and it was a great pitch. I mentioned it had the 5 whiffs, a 56% whiff rate, and his fastball has just been really good thus far. Had 5 of his 14 whiffs on that fastball, 29% whiff rate on that pitch overall. That is an elite whiff rate on a fastball. Now, I don't know if that will remain for Trevor Rogers, but he's done a pretty good job getting whiffs on that pitch and maintaining that so far in his return. So it's just so interesting the way it played out, Chris, because while he was down in the minors,
he was awful.
He looked awful. Yeah. And now he comes up and he's just looked great. He's allowed a total of 5 earned runs through 5 starts. He's gone 6 1/3 plus shutout innings in 3 of 5 starts. And you put it all together, it's a 1.57 ERA. It's a 0.87 whip. You want like more strikeouts here from Trevor Rogers, but overall the results have been great. And this week, a revenge game against the Marlins. So if you do need a streamer, you need someone to pick up and add, I think Trevor Rogers against the Marlins, totally fine this week.
I think it's fine, but I'm certainly a little more skeptical of Rogers' success so far. A big part of it's just he was in 2021 one of the most interesting young pitchers in baseball, and his stuff was just much better back then. I think that's the biggest thing is that he was averaging 94.5 with his 4-seamer. Now it's more like 92, 93. I think it was 93.5 in this one. The whiff rate, like you said, has still been there, but I just have trouble buying it. The stuff's not as good as it was. He's executing really well, and it's a big win for Baltimore and for Trevor Rogers that I think he's a legitimate major league pitcher again, and I wasn't sure he'd get back there, but I think he's probably just a streamer, a high 3s ERA guy. That's useful, and, in a matchup against the Marlins, it's probably a bottom half team against lefties. I think it's fine to use him. I don't think Trevor Rogers needs to be rostered in all leagues, though.
And we're going to talk about many other waiver wire pitchers that are more exciting. The Emmett Sheehan's, the Joe Boyles of the world. Totally get that. But I don't know if you picked up Rogers in a deeper league and, again, like we said with Woodruff, not to the same extent, but you might have stumbled across something here. And I do think it's a good matchup this upcoming week against the Marlins. Want to give a shout out to Zack Wheeler, who just demolished the Reds on Sunday. He threw a 1-hit complete game, 12 strikeouts, 0 walks, 22 whiffs on 108 pitches. His only blemish was a solo homer allowed to Austin Wells. His last 2 starts, Zack Wheeler, 17 innings, 1 run, 22 strikeouts to 0 walks. He just continues to...
He keeps getting better.
Yeah.
This is the best strikeout rate of his career by like 4 percentage points. He has the lowest xERA in baseball. I think he has the lowest FIP.
He has a 0.84 whip.
He's just really, really good. And
get this man a Cy Young.
Yeah, and you were able to get him in the third round in most leagues. That's pretty cool. Or second round,
probably second, but yeah,
a clear third pitcher off the board. And Scooble's probably been better on the whole, but it's a pretty close race between the two of them.
Mm-hmm. Also wanted to give a shout out to the Houston Astros, man. They are red hot. They went into LA. They swept the Dodgers. They won 18-1 on Friday in that game. Jose Altuve had a big one, 3 for 3 with a double dong, 5 RBI. He added another home run on Sunday. And, we've received some emails. No doubt it's been, a down season here for Altuve. But you look now, 272 batting average, 16 home runs. Counting stats are okay.
Pretty close to a 30 homer pace.
You want more speed. I get that from Altuve here, but, the state of the second base position, I think all in all, you'll take what he's given you this season. Christian Walker, 4 for 5 with his 11th home run in that game. Then homered again on Sunday. That dude just loves playing in Dodger Stadium. He just, going back to his days with Arizona, just absolutely crushes the Dodgers in Dodger Stadium. And Victor Caratini, just a name we've mentioned recently, deeper two-catcher leagues. Yeah. He has a pulse. He's doing some things. Last 15 games, he's hitting .264 with 5 homers, 18 RBI. Again, just a name there for some deeper two-catcher leagues, Victor Caratini. Before we hit our first break, just a reminder to sign up for the FBT newsletter if you haven't already. If you're watching on YouTube, you can scan the QR code. That will take you right to the website where you can sign up for free, and you'll get a newsletter delivered right to your email inbox every weekday of the regular season, again, for free. And big thanks to those watching live. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe on YouTube as well. Let's take that break, and we'll be back right after this.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you. When you need your sports in a snap, find it on CBS Sports HQ, streaming free anywhere you are.
Welcome back in Fantasy Baseball today. You could tell it's been a long weekend. I couldn't even say this going to break right after this. I couldn't even get it out. It's been a long one, Chris. News and notes. Long weekend for the Yankees as well. They learned that Clarke Schmidt will likely need Tommy John surgery, which sucks because he has pitched well this season. 3.32 ERA, 109 WHIP. Will likely miss most, if not all, of next season as well. And it sounds like prospect Cam Schlittler is expected to take Clarke Schmidt's spot in the rotation. And he's done some interesting things in the minors. He's, a bigger guy, 6'6". He's 24 years old, big strikeout potential here as well. So a deep league name, one that I'm watching. I have some slight interest here, Chris. What do you think about Cam Schlittler of the Yankees?
Yeah, I put in some very low dollar bids in some 15-team leagues and in an AL only. There's a really good piece on him on Fangraphs actually last Sunday, I believe, by David Lorela, talking about how he, throws from a high arm slot, gets a lot of ride on his four-seamer. It's should be a very good four-seamer for generating whiffs. Might be some homer issues, but you'll live with that if he gets a lot of strikeouts. He's been very good across the two highest levels of the minors this year, 2.82 ERA and 76 2/3 innings, a lot of strikeouts. He's a little bit older for a guy who just got to AAA a couple starts ago. He's 24 already. That seems to be pretty typical for Yankees pitching prospects. So yeah, I definitely think it's a name to keep an eye on in deeper, 15-team or mono leagues, AL only especially. Don't think you want to add him in NL only. In AL only leagues, I think he's Cam Schlittler's definitely a name to know.
Yep. Again, 22% rostered. We'll see what he does. Should make his debut Tuesday or Wednesday this week. Not a guarantee he'll stick around for sure because, Stroman just came back and Luis Gil is getting set to return.
He's going to start his rehab assignment soon, right?
Yeah, it sounds like that could happen this week, and I think he'll be back shortly after the All-Star break. But as we know, life finds a way, and there is upside here with Cam Schlittler. Hunter Green will begin a rehab assignment at AAA on Tuesday. The D-backs reinstated Corbin Carroll on Saturday, and that was fast. Get him back in your lineups, I guess.
Yes, you have to. He did strike out 4 times in 4 plate appearances on Sunday. 5 of his first 9 with no hits, strikeouts. So I'm a little wary about how quickly this happened. No rehab assignment. I'm wary, but hopefully I'm wrong.
Yeah, that is totally sound analysis of Corbin Carroll here. We'll see how he is, and look, you got him. He's back. He's healthy. You got to get him back in your lineup.
Yeah, you got to.
What about Wyatt Langford? He was also reinstated by the Rangers. He was struggling quite a bit before this injury. Is he an auto start as well, Wyatt Langford?
Probably not in a 3 outfielder points league, especially because he's pretty fringy there anyway, right? Like, it's been another frustrating, disappointing season for Wyatt Langford. There are tools here, but you look at the underlying data and it doesn't necessarily suggest that he's a superstar who just needs to, put a few tweaks together. He looks kind of middling right now. Certainly a lot of talent. I wouldn't blame you if you started him, but in a 3 outfielder league, I think it's okay to sit him.
Let's get all the Dodgers stuff out of the way because, as usual, there's lots of updates coming out of LA here. The Dodgers recalled Emmett Sheehan to start on Sunday against the Astros, and he looked pretty good. Once again, 5 innings, 1 run, 4 strikeouts, had 14 whiffs on 80 pitches. And look, everything looked pretty good here for him. He's made 2 starts, 9 innings, 2 runs, 10 strikeouts to 1 walk, 57% rostered.
I think it needs to be 100.
Is he at the top of, waiver wire pitchers right now?
In like the 11% of leagues where both him and Brandon Woodruff are available, might be lower than that, but stick with me. I have a really hard time saying who I would rather have. I think it's Woodruff just because the Dodgers do have a lot of guys coming back.
Yep. And
he went down to AAA to build his arm strength up, and he comes up and goes 5 innings and 80 pitches. It's a question of how long of a leash are they ever going to have with him. I think it helps that both Ben Kasparias and Justin Wroblewski were terrible in their appearances this weekend. Those would probably be his main competition for staying in the rotation, and not great for either of those. So I do hope Emmett Sheehan is in the rotation for good. And I feel very good about the upside there.
Yeah, the upside is tremendous. There's no doubt about that. I do worry about, will he stick in the rotation? I don't think you could ever trust the Dodgers, right? And they do have Tyler Glasnow coming back, and Blake Snell's kind of working his way back as well. But let's hope. I think based on the upside and the team he plays for, obviously, you got to take a shot here.
He's just been so dominant.
Yeah.
Every time he's pitched this season, except for 1 start at AAA. So I just think Emmett Sheehan has earned the benefit of the doubt. Hopefully the Dodgers agree.
Yeah, I would put Woodruff at the top of the list as well, but then I think Emmett Sheehan's probably the next name up there. Blake Snell will throw 2 innings in a rehab game this week and could return to the big league rotation in late July. Tyler Glasnow will make a start for the Dodgers, start on the Dodgers' upcoming road trip before the All-Star break, which means this week he's making a start. And Chris, are you actually using Tyler Glasnow for, I don't know, one of his 10 or 12 healthy starts this season?
I would probably not use him for his first start back. He got up to 78 pitches, so it should be at least 5 innings, but it's probably not going to be much more than 5 innings. And you never know how guys are going to look in their first start back from the IL. So I think it's fine to keep him seated. And the part of that is also now you don't have to make the decision on who to drop when you take him off the IL until next week. And really, you don't have to do it until the Thursday or Friday of next week. So, you kind of give yourself an extra almost 2 weeks to have to make that decision. You don't know what's going to happen between now and 2 weeks from now.
The Dodgers have some hitters banged up as well. Tommy Edman and Teoscar Hernandez were both out of the lineup on Sunday. Edman dealing with a toe injury and Teoscar with his left foot. He did go for imaging, and that came back negative. So seems to be good news for now on Teoscar Hernandez. Michael King is not yet throwing off a mound, but he is pain-free and has been able to increase the intensity and distance of his throws. Pablo Lopez will start throwing this week after an MRI showed his inflammation and swelling are totally gone. Grayson Rodriguez threw 25 pitches, including fastballs and breaking balls in a bullpen on Friday. The Rays recalled Joe Boyle on Sunday, and he looked great in long relief. 5 innings, 2 hits, 1 unearned run, 1 walk with 7 strikeouts, had 15 whiffs on 95 pitches, threw 62% of his pitches for strikes. I think typically you'd like that number to be higher, but only 1 walk obviously is good news for Joe Boyle. Oddly enough, Drew Rasmussen started this game. He only threw 2 innings. So I guess we could get to that part next, Chris. But Joe Boyle obviously was lighting up the minors. He's exciting. The Rays kind of feel like they've worked their devil magic on him once again. Is Emmett Sheehan ahead of Joe Boyle in terms of waiver wire pitcher ads right now?
Yeah, I think so. But Boyle is a high priority for sure because he's kind of doing the Edward Cabrera thing where we've always said if he could just throw strikes. Well, it's not like his command is great. You know, his walk rate at AAA was like 3.8 per 9, I think. But with Boyle's stuff, I mean, he sits like 98, 99 and misses a ton of bats and always has. If he's an average control pitcher, he might be really, really good because of how many bats he misses, how much weak contact he can generate. He looks super talented, and it sounds like him and Drew Rasmussen are just gonna be a tandem moving forward. And it sounds like Boyle's gonna be the bigger part of that tandem. So he might not start, but I think we're going to get 5 innings from him more often than not, as long as he pitches well. So I think Boyle might be more valuable than Rasmussen moving forward. I don't know if you want to set it up, but it does sound like Drew Rasmussen's just going to be limited the rest of the way because he's up to 89 and a third innings. The team has a 150 inning limit for him. And they want him pitching in the postseason. So I'm looking at a piece from the Tampa Bay Times right now, and the Rays came up with a plan. Rasmussen would continue to start on his normal turn, but make abbreviated appearances, kind of like a multi-inning opener, so he can contribute throughout the season and potentially the postseason. Sunday, he worked 2 innings, throwing 32 pitches. Then Boyle would take over, in baseball jargon, piggybacking, and work like he was starting, typically in the 4 to 6 inning range. Sunday, he went 5 innings, throwing 95 pitches, 14 at 99 miles per hour. Rasmussen, who often praises the Rays for their incredible handling of him, said he understands the move. I think it does 2 things. It lets us get the Joe Boyle experience, which is electric. And then it also allows me to just stay on routine as well as limit some of the innings for this year. Kevin Cash wouldn't say how long the Rays would use this pairing, but it's expected to last for at least a few turns through the rotation. So likely past the All-Star break. I don't know. I think Rasmussen, he might be done as a must-start fan. Well, I think he's almost certainly done as a must-start fantasy option, and even as a must-roster player, I'm not sure Drew Rasmussen's going to stay there because you start to do the math. And let's say he has a 150 inning limit and he's at 89 and a third. That's 60.2 innings, I believe is the math on that. If you've got 12 starts the rest of the way for him, that's 5 innings on the dot. Okay, maybe they're cool with that, but if they want him available for the postseason, then let's say that number drops to 45 innings the rest of the way. Now you're down to less than 4 innings per start at 12 turns through the rotation. I really think it might just be Garrett Crochet from last year with Drew Rasmussen, unfortunately.
Yeah, this is a tough one, too, because he's been so good all season. And typically, Rasmussen's value would be higher in a head-to-head points league where he has that RPL ability. He's a spark, but if you're not getting volume, I think the only leagues where I would hold him for now. And let's see how it goes next time out, next couple times. But if they're using him like this, he almost has no value in a points league. In Roto, if he's pitching a couple of times a week and he's, throw 4 or 5 innings, like he can still give you good ratios, okay strikeouts. But
that's pretty fringy. Yeah. You're not going to get any wins.
Yeah.
He's not a great source of strikeouts anyway. So, I don't know. Like if that was my worst player to drop for Edward Cabrera, I'd have to really think about it. Yeah,
I think that's fair. I mean, even in this situation, dropping him for Joe Boyle or Emmett Sheehan, it's like,
yeah, no, I
might be willing to do it.
I think I would.
Right? Yeah.
Just because the upside's not there for Rasmussen, even in a best case scenario. So that's the thing that makes it tough is like he's a floor play without a high floor.
Yeah, it is tough. Anthony Santander could begin swinging a bat late next week. He's been out since May 30th due to a shoulder issue. Max Scherzer was only able to throw 4 innings on Saturday due to significant thumb inflammation. And it sounds like that was by design. He's going to make another start, but obviously this continues to be a huge issue for Scherzer and his workload. Mackenzie Gore will get extra rest before making his next start on Wednesday. Jazz Chisholm was out of the lineup Sunday with a shoulder injury. He said he's been dealing with this for 3 weeks now. We wouldn't know because he's been crushing the ball, obviously. Chris, are you okay keeping Jazz in your lineups this week?
I think so, yeah.
Yu Darvish will make his season debut Monday against the D-backs. He's 63% rostered. I believe that will make him a 2-star pitcher against the D-backs and Phillies. I assume you want to just sit and take a wait and see approach with Darvish, right?
Yeah, in a points league, it could be fine just because, or even a weekly categories league where you don't have the long-term component. I could see it being okay, but I want to see how many pitches he got up to. Only through 51 pitches. Actually, no, this is. Has he even made a rehab start?
I think he's been throwing
off the side, yeah.
Live BP and stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah, he's probably going to be limited. No idea how effective he's going to be. I'm excited to watch him. Yu Darvish is always fun, but I think I would try to avoid it if I can.
Yeah, so Darvish threw a 4-inning, 64-pitch simulated game on Tuesday. So
okay, yeah, probably looking at like 80.
75, something around there. 75 to 80 pitches, I would imagine, on Monday. Luis Heel may start a minor league rehab assignment this week, which we mentioned earlier. Shane Bieber said Saturday that he will likely throw one more live BP before returning to game action. With Brandon Woodruff back, we didn't know who would get sent down. It turns out it is Chad Patrick who was sent back to AAA. Masataka Yoshida will return from the IL during Boston's upcoming homestand. He is 10% rostered. Chris, any deep league interest in a Masataka Yoshida?
He's a good hitter. He's not a great one. He probably won't play against lefties. And I think, is he DH only right now?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. He's played a little outfield on his minor league rehab assignment, but there's not really anywhere for him to play. He has taken some reps at first base in practice. Nothing seems looming there, but that's a possibility in the long term. So that's something to watch. I think in points leagues, no, and probably most 12-team roto leagues, no. But anything deeper than that, I think Yoshida's okay.
Yeah, I think 15-team roto, deeper daily lineup leagues, if you just want to throw him in there whenever he's playing, has hit 280 plus in each of the 2 seasons that he's played. So I think you know what to expect. If he's healthy, if he's good to go, you'll probably get a solid batting average and, modest pop here from Masataka Yoshida. The Phillies option Mick Abel back to AAA, which makes sense. We are officially on Andrew Painter watch. The Nationals fired their GM Mike Rizzo and their manager Dave Martinez. That dates back to them winning the World Series with that tandem and now going in a different direction to, help coach up this young nucleus that they have there with the Washington Nationals. Other players who went on the IL this weekend, Rhys Hoskins with a grade 2 left thumb sprain, Jameson Taillon with a right calf strain, Gary Sanchez due to a sprained right knee, which sucks because he was hitting well. but let's watch for Samuel Basayo.
The universe wants the Orioles to call up Samuel Basayo. They now have 4 catchers on the IL. They are starting Jacob Stallings and who's their backup? Their backup has like a career 440 major league OPS. So yeah, I understand not calling him up, right? Like I understand if they want him to just focus on his defense. This is not a team that's going to be making. Alex Jackson was the guy that they called up.
Yeah.
This is not a team that's going to be making the playoffs. I get it. I also just think they're clearly not putting their best team on the field right now, and that's frustrating. Because
we've seen
right now he'd be able to play every day.
We've seen them do that many times before, right? Just kind of mishandling of prospects and, the whole Kobe Mayo thing and not calling him up when he was at his hottest. And even when they called him up, they didn't play him every day. So, yeah, some questionable decisions here from the Orioles. I totally get it, too. Like, they're not playing for much. Maybe they want to save his rookie eligibility for next season. If he's up on opening day, they can compete for draft pick compensation.
Yeah.
So they could, look at it from that perspective as well. Lane Thomas went on the IL with plantar fasciitis in his right foot and could be chased to Lauder time. So another deep league name to pay attention to there. Andres Jimenez with a left ankle sprain and Pavin Smith with a right oblique strain. And last but certainly not least, Chris, my wish has been granted. The Yankees signed Jeimer Candelario to a minor league contract. They desperately need third base help. Not sure he's going to be the one to give it to them, but I guess there's a chance. I don't think he's done yet, but
I put in a bid for him in AL only Tout Wars, so we'll see. Or Labor, sorry.
There you go. All right, let's take our final break. When we return, we'll run through some of the waiver options from the weekend. We'll do that right after this.
Here we go. The 2025 CBS Sports NFL schedule is here. 18 glorious Sundays.
He's got his receiver touchdown.
Filled with rematches.
Oh, the play of the year.
And rivalries.
Touchdown, Bengals.
Plus, plenty of superstar showdowns. And an epic matchup between the Chiefs and Cowboys on Thanksgiving. Clear your Sundays beginning September 7th for the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus.
Welcome back in fantasy baseball today. Let's take a look at the waiver wire pitchers from the weekend. And Giolito's already up to 78% rostered, so this is for the shallowest of leagues out there, but continues to pitch well. This time at the Nationals, 7 2/3 innings, 1 run, 7 strikeouts here. Still does not have a pitch with a whiff rate over 26%, but something is working for Giolito, who now has 5 quality starts in a row. Back-to-back starts with 7+ innings. He gets the Rockies this week in Boston as well. So obviously that is a fantastic matchup. Chris, I don't completely buy what's going on with Giolito here, but he's pitching well as an awesome matchup this week.
Yeah, I don't really buy it either, but I would say he's pretty close to must start with a Rocky Road matchup on the way this week. I don't buy it, but yeah.
He is very clearly behind Woodruff, Sheehan, and Joe Boyle, right?
And behind Edward Cabrera for me as well.
All right. And what about Trevor Rogers? Who do you prefer between those two? Kind of feels similar, right?
Yeah, I think it's Giolito.
Yep. 2 other names here. Ryan Nelson did it again, this time against the Royals. Great matchup. 7 innings, 1 run, 5 strikeouts, 0 walks. His velocity was up in the start. Leaned heavily on the fastball once again. Since joining the rotation on May 20th, Ryan Nelson, a 2.44 ERA, a .85 whip, 69% rostered, and he's at the Angels this week, so that is a very good matchup as well. Edward Cabrera, who we've mentioned, multiple times already today, over the past couple of weeks, did take a tough luck loss opposing Brandon Woodruff, 7 innings, 2 runs, 5 strikeouts to 0 walks, but that last number there, 0 walks, it's, we're getting much better control here from Edward Cabrera. It's back-to-back 7-inning starts, the first time he's done that in his career. So you mentioned you have Edward Cabrera near the top of that list. Where does he rank among the Joe Boyle, Woodruff, and Sheehan group? Is he behind those 3?
I think I'd take him ahead of Boyle.
Okay.
I think him and Sheehan's really close. but I would give the edge to Sheehan.
What about Cabrera versus Ryan Nelson? Who do you like between those two?
Cabrera for sure.
What about Nelson versus Giolito?
Nelson's weird because he throws that fastball 70% of the time, and it's a really good pitch. According to Baseball Savant's run values metric, it's tied for the most valuable four-seamer in baseball. It's been worth 16 runs above average, or however they calculate it. The thing that I struggle with is it's like make sure I have the stat right. Among 200 pitchers who have ended at least 50 plate appearances with their four-seamer. So that's the way they track that metric. He ranks 110th out of 200 in whiff rate with the four-seamer. So it's a really good pitch. It doesn't miss a lot of bats, so it relies heavily on a lot of weak contact. He generates a ton of weak fly balls with it. That's all great. It's not typically an approach that we think will lead to long-term sustained success. I think Giolito probably has a little more strikeout upside, so gosh, it might just be whoever has the better matchup coming up, and I think that's Giolito versus Colorado, so I would take him over Ryan Nelson.
All right, the next group includes the aforementioned Trevor Rogers, who again is pitching well. Charlie Morton continues to pitch well at the Braves this time, 5 1/3, 2 runs, 7 strikeouts, 19 whiffs on 97 pitches. And since rejoining the Orioles rotation on May 26th, a 2.97 ERA, 132 whip. That's high, but
that's always the Charlie Morton thing, though. It's like even when things are going well, it's always a high whip.
Also 11 K per nine during that time. So
yes,
he's doing his thing. Gets the Mets this week. That is a tougher matchup. Lance McCullers bounced back with a great start at the Dodgers. 6 innings, 1 run with 4 strikeouts. Nice bounce back. He allowed 8 earned runs in his previous start. He gets the Rangers this week. And speaking of the Rangers, Kumar Rocker continues to pitch well lately. He was at the Padres. 5 1/3, 2 runs, 4 strikeouts. Continues to lean on that cutter. And it's been a really, really good pitch here for Kumar Rocker, who is at the Angels this week. So I think that's a totally fine matchup, and he's done it long enough now. 4 starts, a 2.49 ERA, a 1.11 whip. I don't completely trust it, but if you do need a streamer, I think Kumar Rocker is fine. Chris, how would you rank this group? Rocker, McCullers, Charlie Morton, and Trevor Rogers.
I think I'd go Rogers, Morton, Rocker,
McCullers.
20 feet of, I don't have any interest in Lance McCullers. He's got a 5.82 ERA, and it doesn't look like a fluke. I think Morton is kind of interesting. We are at the point in the season where we have to be careful about looking too far ahead for matchups because Charlie Morton seems all but certain to get traded before the deadline, and the deadline is in 24 days. So who knows how long he'll actually be on the Orioles. That being said, you mentioned his matchup against the Mets this week. That's not great. I agree with that. If you look at the schedule coming back from the All-Star break, though, if he's still on the Orioles for the first 3 series, 2 of his first 3 starts will be some combination of the Rays, Guardians, and Rockies away from Coors Field. It could turn out to be Guardians and then versus Rockies. That'd be a really excellent pair of matchups to open. But even if it's not that, it could be, it would be a 2-start week if it works out that way. He could have a 2-start week the second week back from the All-Star break, Guardians versus Rockies for Charlie Morton. That'd be awesome.
Oh yeah.
So wanna keep him stashed for that at least. And then Rocker, he's just doing some interesting stuff lately. The strikeout rate still not great, but the walk rate much improved. That cutter has been really good for him. He seems to command it better than his 4-seamer. It seems to be working.
All right, next group includes Eric Lauer, who's been pitching well for the Blue Jays. 6 innings, 2 runs, 6 strikeouts against the Angels this weekend. He gets the White Sox this week, so totally fine. Deep league streamer there. Slade Ciccone turned in a quality start against the Tigers. 6 innings, 2 runs with 5 strikeouts. He's at the Astros. Adrian Hauser continues to pitch well for the White Sox. This time he was in Coors Field. 8 innings, 2 unearned runs with 6 strikeouts. His velocity is up this season, And through 8 starts, he has a 1.60 ERA, a 1.11 WHIP, and he gets the Blue Jays this week. And they are hitting the ball well, and they don't strike out very much. And JP Sears looked great against the Giants. 6 shutout innings, 6 strikeouts, 13 whiffs on 92 pitches. Back-to-back scoreless outings after a rough stretch for him, and he gets the Atlanta Braves. Chris, do any of these names stand out for you? JP Sears, Adrian Hauser, Slade Ciccone, and Eric Lauer.
I think Lauer's a great streamer this week. The Blue Jays will not stop winning games, and he gets the White Sox. So I don't really buy it, but it's the underlying numbers mostly back it up. 3.21 xERA on the season. Strikeout rate's pretty good, even though he doesn't miss a ton of bats. The four-seamer's playing really well. So I think Eric Lauer is a good streamer this week. Everyone else I could take or leave, but I do think Adrian Hauser, he was a legitimately fantasy relevant pitcher back in 2023, I believe. And he's on a bad team, sure, but he's throwing harder than ever. The underlying stats mostly back up what he's done. I'm not saying I think Adrian Hauser is someone you need to run out and add, but he has a lower roster rate than Jose Quintana, Tomoyuki Sagano, JP Sears, Bailey Falter. I think I'd rather have him than those guys at least, or at least it might depend on what the next matchup is. I guess I don't love the Toronto matchup, but I think Adrian Hauser deserves a little more respect than he's gotten at the very least.
And for those who play in a points league, he is a SPARP, so it would feel dirty to make this move, but I mean, if you have Rasmussen and you want to go from one SPARP to another, Adrian Hauser's pitching well right now. So I think it's something that you can look at in that format. And the last group includes Logan Allen of the Guardians. He turned in a quality start against the Tigers. 6 innings, 1 run with 5 strikeouts for him. Last 5 starts, 3.41 ERA and a 1.14 WHIP. Michael Lorenzen, a great start at the D-backs. 7 shutout with 7 strikeouts, had 17 whiffs on 82 pitches. Great start for him. And Ryan Gusto, solid outing at the Dodgers. 6 innings, 1 run, only 1 strikeout, but 13 whiffs on 80 pitches. Probably deserved more than just 1 strikeout here. Very deep league stuff, Chris. Any of these names stand out? Logan Allen, Michael Lorenzen, Ryan Gusto.
I think they're all streamers at best. Lorenzen's probably the best of them, but I think he's a low 4s ERA pitcher. The most interesting thing about him, I was watching him pitch whenever this start was or his previous start. I can't remember. I didn't realize Michael Lorenzen's Tyler O'Neill levels of jacked.
He's jacked, yeah.
I had no idea. I don't know how I missed this, but yeah, Michael Lorenzen's yoked. Yeah. He looks like a professional wrestler.
Yeah, really,
that's my takeaway. That's all I have to add.
He's got the hair and everything too. He's got the long hair. He could just
I had no idea.
Throw that guy off the top rope. That'll probably work out. Logan Allen, by the way, for very deep leagues, if you need a streamer this week, he is at the White Sox, and so stream almost anybody against the White Sox. Yeah. Some waiver wire hitters. 2 Red Sox players who we've mentioned a lot lately, but still available in some shallower leagues. Trevor Story stayed hot this weekend, 4 for 5 with a sock in the shoe on Friday. Hit another home run on Sunday. Last 7 games, he's hitting .448 with 3 homers, 10 RBI, and 2 steals. And Ceddanne Rafaela has picked things up. Homered twice this weekend. The last 7 games for him, he's hitting .370 with 2 home runs, 67% rostered. Chris, who do you like more between the 2, Trevor Story or Ceddanne Rafaela?
Well, they're both bad in points leagues.
Yeah.
So I'll just go with the guy who has 3 more homers and 3 more steals, I guess, and that's Trevor Story, because both plate discipline is so bad that I don't think either can really matter in points leagues, and as a result, they're both right around 70% rostered. It's hard to imagine there are a ton of leagues where either of them is really worth adding, but I'll give Trevor Story the edge.
Sean Murphy looks like he's picking things back up. Last 7 games, hitting .318 with 4 homers and 9 RBI. The problem, which has been a problem for him a large majority of the season, is that he's started just 6 of the past 10 games. So Sean Murphy's 31% rostered. He's, I think, just a name for 2 catcher leagues, Chris, unless, if something were to happen to Drake Baldwin, maybe, Sean Murphy just plays a lot more. But for now, I still just think it's 2 catcher leagues.
Just a number 2 catcher right now, yeah.
Yep. Colson Montgomery got called up this weekend. He started all 3 games for the White Sox, and a very soft landing spot in Coors Field against Rockies pitching. Had 3 hits on Saturday, 2 more hits on Sunday, 18% rostered. Very up and down minor league career, but this was a top draft pick. There is pedigree here. Chris, were you looking to add Colson Montgomery anywhere this weekend?
Yeah, I think he's an okay add in deeper leagues. The thing with Colson Montgomery is the minor league track record is really mediocre. At basically every level, it's mediocre. So you're kind of just hoping that the White Sox maybe had him working on specific things when he was at AAA. They saw something over the final week there when he had the 2-2 homer games, and you can kind of throw the minor league production out of the window. It's a former first-round pick. It's possible that that's the case, and the fact that he's been good in his first 3 games, Coors Field helps, but I'm willing to take a chance in deeper leagues. It's not a 12-team play, but in deeper leagues, yeah, let's see if there's anything here.
All right, and the last name up is Mickey Moniak, who had a huge game on Sunday, 3 for 4 with a sock and a shoe, his 13th home run, his 5th stolen base. He has started 3 straight, but alternated starting and sitting each game from July 24th through June 24th, through July 3rd. So, there's a little bit of power and speed here, but just not playing consistently enough is Mickey Moniak. So, deeper leagues with daily lineups, maybe, but anything besides that, I think it's a no-go on Mickey Moniak. What do we do with these starting pitchers, Chris? Another clunker from Jesus Luzardo, this time against the Reds. 2 innings, 6 hits, 6 runs, 5 of those earned, 3 walks to 4 strikeouts. And look, we know he had that awful 2-start stretch where he allowed 20 earned runs, but even lately, it's 4+ earned runs in 2 of his last 4. Walks and hard contact have been a problem here for Luzardo recently. What are you doing this week? He's at the Giants.
I'm starting him. I know the 4.44 ERA is frustrating. The 1.47 WHIP is bad. It's a 3.65 xERA. It's still a 27% strikeout rate. Walk rate's still right around average. I'm still gonna view Jesus Luzardo as someone I'm starting more often than not. Until the results have been bad, the skills still look really strong. So I'm gonna have faith in that.
What about Sandy Alcantara, a name we've talked about all season long? It's back-to-back rough outings for him. This one against the Brewers, 6 innings, 5 runs with 4 strikeouts to just 1 walk. The control has been much better, which is a good sign. That was a major issue for him early on in the season. He's also just not getting whiffs. So we had that stretch, Chris, where it looked like, all right, Sandy was turning a corner a little bit, but now 12 earned runs over his last 2 outings again. Down to 79% rostered. Can you go ahead and drop Sandy for Emmett Sheehan or Joe Boyle, someone like that, or even his teammate Edward Cabrera?
I wouldn't want to. I would hope I have a pitcher I feel has less upside, but I'm certainly open to it. Yeah, I think I'd rather have. Yeah, I think I'd rather have Edward Cabrera than Sandy Alcantara. He's pitching like a better version of Sandy Alcantara right now. So the one thing that you do like from Sandy is, like you said, the control's been much better. 2 or fewer walks in 6 straight starts. He's pitching deep into games. He's gone at least 6 innings in 5 of his last 6. It does feel like he's not far off, but the fact that he's taken this step back, some of that has been just getting BABIP'd a little bit, but he's given up a couple home runs as well. I don't think Sandy Alcantara is a must-roster player, sure.
Yeah, and he's at the Reds this week, too, so the way he's pitching, there's obviously no way you can start him there, but yeah, I think we're getting back to dropping Sandy Alcantara here. What about Carlos Rodon? He has struggled a little bit recently. He was at the Mets this weekend, Subway Series, 5 innings, 7 runs allowed, 6 of those earned. Gave up 2 homers in this one, 12 hard hits, 95.5 average exit velocity against. And last 6 starts for Rodon, it's a 5.34 ERA, 1.28 WHIP, 13 walks, 7 homers allowed. Gets the
strikeout rate's way down too, right?
Gets the Cubs this week. I don't know, Chris. This one's tough because he's been, must start all season. I think we all rank him as a top 20 starting pitcher, but, starting to look a little bit like Carlos Rodon of old. What do you think here?
Yeah, I want to look into like the pitch level stuff and just see what's really gone wrong because, all right, so early on, slider was like 40% whiff rates. July 1 start, it was everything looked okay in June for the most part, and he's only made the 1 start in July, so I don't want to take too much from that. Yeah, I don't know. Like the changeup's been a little less effective, but it doesn't really look like a huge deal. The slider was still awesome in June. I'm inclined to say that this is just a little bit of a speed bump for Carlos Rodon more than a sign that he's turning back into a pumpkin. Maybe it's like he was pitching like a top 5 starter for the first 2.5 months of the season. Well, he's not that. But I still think top 24 is reasonable, and that's where we have him ranked, right? He's right around 20 for all of us.
I think I have him around 15 or something.
Okay.
Like that, which at this point is probably too high. But yeah, even if I drop him down a little bit, I can't see him being outside the top 24.
Yeah, it's a little tough. Like the matchup against the Cubs this week is scary. I don't think I'm sitting him though.
All right. Chase Burns was okay in his third
Just
start
okay.
at the Phillies. 4 2/3 innings, 1 run, 4 walks, 7 strikeouts, had 13 whiffs on 91 pitches. Only threw 57% of his pitches for strikes here. And his fastball got hit hard, 98.9 average exit velocity. It's tough because he gets the Rockies this week in Cincinnati. So
You're starting him.
normally you just want to get him in there for that start. He's only 54% started right now, Chase Burns.
I'm starting him against the Rockies. I think sitting him against the Phillies was perfectly reasonable. And, you look at the like strike zone plot for this game for Chase Burns, and I think he mostly did what you want, right? He didn't. It doesn't look like he threw any of his sliders in the strike zone, which is fine because he probably got too much of the strike zone with that pitch against the Red Sox. It was the Red Sox who had destroyed him, right?
Yes.
But you look at the 4-seamer, mostly when he missed, it was inside to righties and it was above the zone if he missed. Sliders, if he missed, down and away to righties. That's the approach you want. It is fair to wonder whether he has enough to get through lineups that have multiple lefties. The Red Sox had more lefties than righties in today. You kind of need more than just the 2 pitches unless they're really, really good. Right now, everything looks promising, but he hasn't locked in yet. So I remain optimistic. Is he a must-start pitcher? No, he's not. But I don't think I'm going to sit him against the Rockies. It's the Rockies. Come on. Yeah. On the road. I know Cincinnati's a tough place to pitch. I feel very confident in him against the Rockies.
Shohei Ohtani, the pitcher, has pitched well thus far, but the Dodgers are just bringing him along so slowly right now. I mean, he threw 2 shutout innings this weekend, 3 strikeouts, 0 walks. He's made 4 starts, and during that time, it's 6 innings, 1 run, 6 strikeouts. I mean, that would be great for 1 start, not 4 starts. So he's yet to throw more than 31 pitches. Obviously, in leagues where he's one player, you're using him as a hitter. This doesn't matter for you. But in leagues where he's 2 different players, I guess you're just stashing him on the bench. This looks like it's going to be a really, really slow build here.
Yeah, you just have to look at it as just a stash. Like who throws 5 innings in a major league start first? Shohei Ohtani or Bubba Chandler? Shohei Ohtani or Andrew Painter?
I will.
I think that's the way you have to look at him.
Yeah. Painter's closer. Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, Painter might just be up and ready to go in 10 days. So SP only Shohei Ohtani is not a must roster player. This always should have been the expectation. And yeah, I think it's probably at least another month before we see him really fully stretched out. I think we're going to see continued really brief outings from him.
All right, next up, Gavin Williams had one of his best starts of the season against the Tigers. 6 shutout, 1 hit, 3 walks, 8 strikeouts, had 18 whiffs on 97 pitches. His 8 strikeouts here were his most since May 9th, and he used his fastball less. Really just had everything working. The breaking pitches looked really good for Gavin Williams here. I know last week I said he was droppable. I still don't think he's a must-roster player, but if you've held on this long, he's at the White Sox this week. So
yeah, if you didn't drop him yet, don't drop him now. You know, that's the best I can say. I will. If Edward Cabrera was available, I think I would still drop Gavin Williams for him. If Emmett Sheehan was available, I think I'd still do it. Other than that, certainly this week I'm just starting him against the White Sox. I do trust him there.
All right, next up, Jacob Lopez had another mixed outing, this one against the Giants. 4 1/3, 5 hits, 4 runs with 8 strikeouts, had 15 whiffs on 88 pitches. He actually left with 2 earned runs, 2 runners on. Reliever came in, allowed both base runners to score, so that's how we wind up with this line here. But, you know, second start in a row where he went less than 5 innings. Chris, I know you've been a little bit more skeptical, I think, than Scott and I have been on Jacob Lopez. I'm still holding. What do you think about Lopez here?
All right, well, let's think about it this way. Are you starting him this week against the Blue Jays?
Probably not. They don't strike out against lefties.
Probably not. They don't strike out. They're red hot right now. Everyone's hitting in that lineup. He's probably not starting the week after that just because it's a 3. I mean, I don't know. Is he one of the first 3 to go for the Athletics? I have no idea.
Probably should be. I don't know.
Yeah, I think in terms of, he's probably one of their 3 best. I don't know how it's going to work out, but you may not start him for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah,
that's a little, if you're in that spot and you can get 2 starts from Edward Cabrera or Emmett Sheehan, who are not guaranteed to make 2 starts in those 2 weeks either, to be clear. I think those guys are better than him.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying Jacob Lopez is a must drop, but I didn't expect this to last. It didn't necessarily fall apart the way I thought it would in this one. Like, it wasn't, 3 homers. So I don't know. I think he's fine.
Yeah. It is tough for Sheehan, who just looks like he has so much upside. So I would probably make that swap. Edward Cabrera is close. If you need someone to pitch this week, I would get that move. But I still think there's a lot of swing and miss potential here from Lopez. Bad park to pitch in, bad team as well. But I would like to hold Lopez if it's possible. And last name here, Eduardo Rodriguez. He had been pitching well, but, man, he got blown up again. 8 earned runs. Second time this season he's allowed 8 earned runs. So if you were holding on to Eduardo Rodriguez, he's 52% rostered. Go ahead and drop him for any of the names that we've talked about today.
It's just when it's bad for him, it's so bad. There's
underlying numbers are still okay.
Yeah, there's no in between. It's like either he's pretty good or he gives up 7 runs, and he's given up at least 4 in 5 straight starts now, I think. So no, sorry, I was looking at the wrong guy. That's funny. I meant to type Eduardo Rodriguez. You know who I typed? I typed Bailey Ober.
Someone who also was getting rocked. So
no. Okay. Eduardo Rodriguez has actually been pretty good lately.
Yeah.
The strikeout rate's solid. It's just, when it was 2 earned runs or fewer in 5 straight before this one. And it's now 3 starts of at least 6 earned runs.
Yeah.
I think it's totally fine to drop him.
All right, let's get back over to the hitters here. And can we please just have a healthy Jordan Westburg rest of season? Because I want to see what this guy can do. He was a breakout for all of us coming in. He returned from that finger injury on Friday. He homered in back-to-back games. He's looked good since being activated on June 10th. We just need him to stay healthy, stay on the field. He gives you second, third base eligibility. I still think there's a lot of upside here, Chris. We just need him healthy.
Yeah, it's good to see after all the time he's missed with that finger injury that he was able to hit a couple homers this weekend. That was very good to see.
Hitters who stayed hot. Michael Busch red hot. 4 for 4 with 3 homers on Friday. He added another home run on Saturday. Also started that game against the lefty. So perhaps playing time trending up a little bit here for Michael Busch, who is now batting .297 with 18 home runs and a .950 OPS on the season. Juan Soto got his revenge against the Yankees. Mets took 2 out of 3. He went 3 for 4 with his 21st home run on Friday. Just won National League Player of the Month for June. So,
not an all-star.
Yeah, that one's kind of interesting. I saw people put Corbin Carroll and Fernando Tatis side by side, and Soto's numbers are pretty much better across the board. Yeah. Interesting there. But
someone will drop out and he'll be the first choice. It'll be fine.
Right. But we had that slow start. It looks like Soto's just completely back on track now. Randy Arozarena, also red hot. Homer 2 more times this weekend, last 17 games, hitting .338 with 6 home runs and an OPS over 1,000. Brandon Nimmo had a huge game on Saturday, 2 for 4 with a sock and a shoe. And Jurickson Profar is raking since his return. He had 2 more hits on Sunday. He led off in that game, but Ronald Acuna had the day off. But, 5 games since returning, it's 6 hits, 2 home runs. Didn't include him in waiver wire hitters because he's all the way up to 81% rostered. But, only 49% started. If you have Profar, get him back in your lineups.
Yep.
Anything else to add on these names here, Chris?
No, I mean, Arozarena, it's just all of a sudden his numbers look great, right? Like 14 homers, 15 steals. That's like a 25 pace at least.
Yeah.
Didn't look quite that good literally a week ago. But, you'll take it.
Some hitting leftovers. PCA, Pete Crow Armstrong, another huge game on Friday, 4 for 4 with 2 more home runs for him. Jason Dominguez is picking things up on Friday, went 2 for 4 with 2 homers and a steal. He led off that game against a right-handed pitcher. And if I do say so myself, Chris, give myself a little pat on the back. This is, I think, one of my better calls on Thursday night. We did the podcast, and I said, I think Dominguez is about to break out, man. Just watching his at-bats, he's looked much better. I hope they still give him chances to lead off because they just don't have a dedicated leadoff hitter right now, and he's playing well. So I think that makes sense for the Yankees. Aaron Judge hit 2 more home runs this weekend. He is now batting .360 with 33 home runs on the year. Cal Raleigh will not stop. 2 more home runs for him. He's up to 35 now. Vinny P.
Baby.
Vinny Pasquantino, 3 for 5 with a double dong, 6 RBI on Friday. Pete Alonso looking to get back on track. 2 home runs on Saturday for him. Jackson Holiday, quietly, it's just had a solid season. 4 for 4 with his 11th home run on Sunday. He's hitting .260. He's got 11 home runs. He's got 9 steals. And another huge game for Byron Buxton, who went 2 for 5 with a sock and a shoe. His 20th home run and 16th steal. That happened on Sunday. Anything to add on these names, Chris? Anything stands out?
The only thing I have to add is one, Brian Wu in his post-game press conference after his start this weekend was wearing a Step Brothers shirt with him and Cal Raleigh. Nice. And as he was going into the post-game interview room, as Cal Raleigh was going into the post-game interview room, Brian Wu was coming off the podium and he was like, "Oh, Cal, how does it feel? You broke another record. You hit 2 more home runs. Wow." That was just, I thought that was a very funny interaction between the two of them. They all seem to love Cal Raleigh in that team. And
yeah,
why not? He's on pace for like 89 home runs.
Yeah. Do you see outside of their stadium, T-Mobile Park, I guess this was for voting for the All-Star game, they had a dump truck outside with Cal Raleigh's face on it saying to vote him for the All-Star team.
Love it. I love it. So. The whole team before one of their recent games was wearing peach emoji shirts. I love it. I love it.
Very nice. Let's get into the pitching leftovers here from the weekend. We did have a pitcher's duel out in Seattle.
It's time to do.
Paul Skeens up against George Kirby. Skeens 5 shutout innings with 10 strikeouts, had 18 whiffs on 78 pitches. Kind of interesting that he only threw 78 pitches after 88 pitches his last time out. And then George Kirby on the other side, 6 1/3 shutout innings with 9 strikeouts, had 19 whiffs on 93 pitches. And kind of just looks like Kirby is back. That's 3 quality starts in a row. He's allowed just 2 earned runs total during that stretch. Anything to add on Kirby and Paul Skeens here?
Skeens has a 1.55 ERA since his last win, which is only 7 starts. Could be longer. I have faith.
Grom treatment.
I have faith that the Pirates can take this winless streak longer. It's ridiculous. Kirby, yeah, I want to say he's back, and it was good to see in this start he did have the full arsenal, because his previous start, which was a pretty good one, he didn't throw his splitter or his curveball at all in the previous start, and I think it had been a couple starts like that. So it was good to see him working the splitter and the knuckle curve back in. Seems to suggest he's got the feel, and yeah, look, I don't know how you can judge a start against the Pirates at this point. Their offense is horrible, but he's faced other bad lineups and hasn't been this good, so it's good to see.
All right, some other pitching leftovers here. Tarek Skubal doing what he does at the Guardians. 7 shutout innings with 10 strikeouts on Sunday. That's back-to-back 7 shutout with 10-plus strikeouts.
Ridiculous. His
6th start with double-digit strikeouts this season. Brian Wu dominated the Pirates. 6 shutout with 8 strikeouts for him. Casey Mize was great at the Guardians. 7 shutout with 4 strikeouts. And Luis Castillo, an awesome start. What do you know? Also against the Pirates, 7 shutout with 8 strikeouts here. Anything on Castillo, Casey Mize, Brian Wu, and Tarek Skubal?
I don't trust it with Casey Mize. He has basically, the strikeout rate is below average. The walk rate is pretty good. It's like 6%. That's a very good mark. The biggest thing that he's doing right now is generating weak contact. And maybe this new harder slider, this harder splitter that he's throwing, maybe that is enough to make Casey Mize an outlier in terms of quality of contact allowed. But that is a stat that takes a long time to stabilize. And to highlight that, I think there were 13 pitchers last season who qualified for the ERA title and had an expected WOBA on contact below 350. So league average is 368, 350 and below. That's really good. He's at like 336 right now. Among the 13 last year who had a 350 or lower xWOBA on contact, this season there are more with an xWOBA over 370, so worse than average, than there are below 350. It fluctuates a lot from year to year, from month to month, and that's really the only way Casey Mize stands out right now. So I don't buy it. I think he's an obvious sell high candidate.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of Tarek Skubal, just wanted to mention I made a blockbuster trade, Chris, in Tout Wars with Justin Mason. I gave him Juan Soto and I got Tarek Skubal. So we'll see, man. I wasn't winning with Soto. I figured, why? I'll try.
I get it.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of the pack right now, and I lost Cole Reagans.
You got to shake it up.
So yeah, let's have some fun. I just got like Jerks and Profar back and Austin Hayes. So look, they're not Soto, but I've got some outfield depth, and we'll see how it works out. Let's go, Tarek Skubal. Call to the bullpen for the Mets on Friday. Edwin Diaz was unavailable. Reed Garrett pitched the final 2 innings for his 3rd save. For the White Sox on Friday, Grant Taylor struck out 2 for his 3rd save. Kind of looks like he is taking over as their closer. For the Tigers on Saturday, Will Vest was unavailable. Tommy Canley picked up his 9th save. For the Rangers on Saturday, Robert Garcia started the 9th inning with a 3-run lead. He got 2 outs, but allowed 3 base runners. He was relieved by Sean Armstrong, who got the final out for his 3rd save. For the Red Sox on Sunday, Aroldis Chapman entered in the 8th with a 2-run lead to face James Wood and Nathaniel Lowe. He allowed a hit, but picked up his 3rd hold. And then it was Jordan Hicks who got the 9th inning with a 3-run lead. He gave up a run, but picked up his 1st save. And just interesting, the Red Sox have thrown Jordan Hicks right into high situations here. This has happened a few times with Chapman, where if there are lefties coming up, they'll use him in the 8th inning. I think he's still very clearly their closer, but it happens from time to time.
Trade deadline's coming up. He seems very likely to be traded.
Fair.
I think there's a decent chance Hicks closes the season out as the Red Sox closer for the final couple of months.
Yeah, that's a good point. Then for the Rockies on Sunday, Seth Halverson got the 9th inning with a 2-run lead. He walked one, but picked up his 8th save. Only 10% rostered. Deep league name for saves. And he didn't get a save this weekend, but I just wanted to point out with Ronnie Enriquez of the Marlins don't have a closer. But if they did...
I think Ronnie Enriquez is the closer.
No, I'm not willing to say it, Chris.
I think he's got the last
time I have done that. Then like the next 3 saves have gone to somebody else. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think he has 3 of the last 4 for them, and the other one was not Calvin Fauché. I can't remember who it was, but yeah, I think he's the closer. Yeah, right. I think so.
You said it, not me. I'm not jinxing that guy. All right, to stream or not to stream, I'm just realizing now that I didn't write down any names. So, all right, we've got to have fun and kind of piece this together on the fly. So let's see what we've got on Monday. Jansen Junk at the Reds.
The people in the comments of the FBT YouTube are really big on Jansen Junk. I don't get it, but there was way too much Jansen Junk talk in the chat a couple of days ago. Take that for what you will.
I am not using him at Cincinnati, but if someone out there wants to, you can go for it. Richard Fitz gets the Rockies in Boston, so that could work out. Noah Cameron against the Pirates, kind of like that. Andrew Heaney at the Royals. They don't hit either. Sean Burke gets the Blue Jays. Colton Gordon against the Guardians. They're not hitting either. Anybody else? And Landon Roop against the Phillies. So I would go with Noah Cameron first.
Heaney's fine as well in that game.
Heaney, and then I think I would say Colton Gordon, but I don't think he's very good. But the Guardians just cannot hit right now. So
yeah, I'm okay with Gordon. That's an okay trio. Yeah.
And then on Tuesday we have Brian Bayo gets the Rockies. That definitely could work. That's in Boston. Nick Martinez against the Marlins. That could be okay.
Yeah, that's okay.
Simeon Woods Richardson against the Cubs. No, thank you. Aaron Savali against the Blue Jays.
Yeah, probably not.
Kershaw at the Brewers.
Palante against the Nationals is okay.
I like Joey Cantillo. I wouldn't use him here, but I'm interested to see what he does.
Brandon Walter against Cleveland. I don't know if he probably isn't rostered highly enough to not qualify anymore, right? He probably still does.
I see Hunter Brown for Tuesday.
Okay. ESPN has Hunter Brown on Monday, but yeah, maybe.
We also have Jeffrey Springs against the Braves. Didier Fuentes at the Athletics. Yeah, for Tuesday, I would go Bayo against the Rockies and Nick Martinez against the Marlins.
Yep, I like those.
All right, we're going to wrap there. For Chris, I am Frank. Thanks as always for tuning into Fantasy Baseball today. Please make sure to follow and leave a 5-star rating on Apple or Spotify, and we will be back again tomorrow. Bye-bye.